The manga opens with a frenzied scene of fans cheering and dancing in a stage, as an idol B Kamachi group takes to the stage to perform. Among them is Ali, a beautiful 16-year-old girl who captures the hearts of fans with her dazzling performance. One fan, Sensei, who was a doctor we're watching from home on TV, wishes he could see her in person and experience her cuteness firsthand. Fast forward 4 years, and the idol group has become a massive sensation on social media. Sensei, a young man in a hospital room, watches their performance on DVD, much to the consternation of a nurse who questions why he's playing it in a patient's room. Sensei insists that observing beauty is good for one's health and that there are no idol concerts in the rural area where they are located. The nurse informs him that Ali has started trending on Twitter, which causes Sensei to cry out in dismay. He remembers a conversation he had with a young patient named Serena-chan, who was admiring Ali on TV. He encouraged her to become an idol of herself, promising to be her fan if she did so after being discharged from the hospital. Serena-chan was overjoyed and hugged Sensei tightly. Sadly, Serena-chan passed away at the tender age of 12, and Sensei couldn't help but wish she had lived long enough to see Ali's rise to fame. She also longed to be 16 years old like Ali, but he was soon snapped back to reality by a colleague's question about what he would do if Ali approached him and asked him out. Despite returning to work after lunch, Sensei couldn't shake off his feelings of worry about Ali, and struggled to make sense of his emotions. As Sensei returned to his work, he was surprised to find a 16-year-old patient named Hoshine-san waiting for him with her de facto guardian. Hoshine-san was already 20 weeks pregnant. She had grown up in a children's home according to her guardian. The story sounded familiar to Sensei, and when Hoshine-san removed her cap, he realized that it was his idol. Sensei struggled to control his emotions as he left the room to prepare for her examination, feeling like he needed to catch his breath. As he listened outside the room, he heard Hoshine-san's guardian asking about the father of the baby. I refused to reveal his identity, stating that it was a secret. After the examination, Sensei discovered that I was actually carrying twins. The guardian was concerned that if her pregnancy became public, I's career would be ruined and their agency would be finished. Later that evening, Sensei found himself lost in thought, contemplating how he could best support I. Suddenly, she appeared beside him, and they began to chat. Sensei asked her if she was willing to give up her career as an idol, to which she firmly replied no. She promised to keep her pregnancy a secret, and Sensei assured her that he would be there to deliver her babies when the time came. I had no family of her own. Sensei was willing to do anything to make her happy. He felt a deep connection to the unborn babies she was carrying and wanted to protect them at all costs. Sensei suggested assuming a false name so that people wouldn't notice her, and especially with a baby with a large skull, might make it difficult for the pelvis to open during delivery, requiring surgery. After 40 weeks, which was the expected delivery time, Dr. Sensei left the hospital for the night. As he walked, a figure appeared before him, hiding his face. The figure asked if he was Hoshin's doctor, and Sensei was taken aback, wondering how the stranger knew I's family name since it was never made public. Sensei moved closer to inquire about the stranger's identity, but the figure suddenly ran away. Sensei chased after him but lost him. As he stood on top of a mountain, flashing his torch around, the figure suddenly pushed Sensei, and he fell from a high cliff. Though conscious, he was unable to move his legs and needed to get back to the hospital for I's delivery. He died at that spot. Fortunately, I safely delivered a set of twins, a boy and a girl named Aquamarine and Ruby Hoshino. Meanwhile, a burial memorial was held for Dr. Sensei, and I was in disbelief over what had happened. Something strange occurred, as the night Sensei was murdered was the same night I gave birth to the twins, and Sensei was reborn as Aquamarine, while Serena-san was reborn as Ruby. I's guardian, Saito, ordered her to resume her activities as an idol while his wife Miyako Saito took care of the children. They headed out for their rehearsal. During the live broadcast, Saito announced that I had resumed her career as an idol. After the session, I and her colleagues performed on stage. Aquamarine, who was reborn from Sensei, switched on the television and saw I performing. Grateful for the person who had murdered him, he realized that his rebirth was a miracle brought about by his many obsessions towards I. However, all he wanted was to help I give birth successfully. In a tattered room, The individual who pushed Sensei off the cliff was heard lamenting about why Ai had to make babies. This shared trait with Ai raised some questions about their relationship. Meanwhile, Saito's wife was growing increasingly frustrated with her role as a babysitter. When Ruby cried out for a diaper change, Saito's wife became even angrier, questioning why she had married Saito in the first place. She had expected to work with handsome young men, but instead found herself tending to a 16-year-old idol girl children. As she tossed the diaper aside, she began to entertain evil thoughts of exposing Ai's secret to a weekly magazine for a large sum of money. Aquamarine and Ruby overheard Saito's wife's plan and were shocked. Miyako, who was present, began searching the room for evidence to support her claims. She stumbled upon a drawer containing pictures of the twins and took out her phone to snap the picture. Saito's wife was startled by their sudden appearance, but Aquamarine and Ruby identified themselves as divine messengers. The twins had made it abundantly clear to Miyako that their mother had been divinely chosen by the god of entertainment, and that it was their destiny to protect her. Anyone who dared to go against her would face divine retribution. Miyako was left in tears, wondering what she should do. In an attempt to soothe her, the twins promised that if she protected their mother and obeyed their every command, they would reward her with a handsome husband. It had been several months since Ai had returned to the world of idols, and her group B Kamachi was experiencing a meteoric rise to fame. Ai was determined to give her children the best education possible, but finances were tight and she was struggling to make ends meet. The twins were insistent on seeing their mother perform on stage, and Miyako dutifully accompanied them to the show. As Ai dazzled the audience with her talent, the twins were overcome with joy and caused quite a commotion. The spectacle caught the attention of many onlookers, and by the end of the day, their post had gone viral on Twitter with over 210,000 retweets and 2 million views on the reposted video. Ai was understandably concerned by the sudden surge in attention. 1 year has passed since the twins were born, and they had grown to the point where it was no longer suspicious for them to walk or talk around. Ai, their mother, decided to take them to her rehearsal office. However, Miyako urged them not to call Ai their mama. Before leaving the office, as he left the rehearsal office, Aquamarine bumped into Ai's director. After having a small chat with him, the director was impressed with Aquamarine's personality and handed him his business card, Aqua suggesting that it should be given to Ai. Back at home, Ai and the twins were watching a film that Ai's mother had acted in. However, to their disappointment, Ai's mother didn't appear in the film as much as they had hoped. Suddenly, the film was cut off by breaking news, and the twins was left feeling unhappy. Aquamarine left to make a phone call, and it turned out to be the director he had met earlier. Aquamarine asked the director why Ai didn't have enough screen time in the film they were watching. The director explained to Aquamarine that Ai was too cute on the screen, and because of that, the decision had come from the top to cut her out as much as possible during the editing process. The director, impressed with Aquamarine's personality, was ready to offer Ai another job in which her acting would not be cut, but on one condition: Aquamarine must participate in the film. Aquamarine agreed, and the director explained to him that acting requires effort and the ability to carry out a role well. During the acting play, Aquamarine was given the role of a creepy child alongside another girl named Karina. The film's plot revolved around a woman with low self-confidence in her appearance who visits a sketchy hospital deep in the mountains to undergo plastic surgery. Aquamarine's job was to act as one of the eerie children the woman encounters at the entrance to the village. As Aquamarine observed Karina's acting prowess, he couldn't help but be in awe of her skills. Her ability to bring her character to life was nothing short of impressive, and he found himself wondering if he could ever match her level of expertise. However, the director had other ideas for Aquamarine's role in the production. Instead of playing a character that exuded charm and charisma, he was instructed to portray a character that was creepy and unsettling. Despite the challenge, Aquamarine was determined to give it his all and fully immerse himself in the character. He began to study the nuances of creepy behavior, from the way Karina spoke to the way she moved and interacted with others. As he delved deeper into the role, Aquamarine found himself tapping into a side of himself he never knew existed. He explored his own fears and insecurities and used them to bring his character to life, creating a performance that was both eerie and captivating. As Aquamarine was in character and speaking to the woman, she looked into his eyes and noticed a star-shaped birthmark. She was amazed by it, and the director called for a cut. Aquamarine exhaled deeply, relieved that his performance had met the director's expectations. However, Karina was not pleased and immediately went to the director, requesting a reshoot. She wept bitterly, feeling inadequate compared to Aquamarine's acting skills. The director commended Aquamarine for his excellent performance and explained to him that she had done well, but there was still room for improvement. Karina noticed that Aquamarine had a proper stage name and became determined to work harder and perform better than him next time. 3 years has passed since Sensei was reborn as Ai's child. The film the director shot was reasonably well received and he was nominated for the Director Prize at some award ceremony. This contributed to some acting role Aqua has played. But to him it was Ai who carried the entire film. Ai has now become the major up-and-coming idol and media personality. At that time Ai was close to being 20. They were able to go about their daily lives without being uncovered by the public. But as all this were happening, Sensei corpse has not been found for the past 3 years. The twins were enrolled in a preschool where they spent most of their time eating, sleeping, and reading books. Aqua often felt depressed when he reminisced about his past life. However, things changed when their teacher assigned them to prepare for a dance performance, which their parents would attend. Ruby, who was inherently shy, felt overwhelmed and fled the classroom. Aqua, being a supportive brother, encouraged her not to give up and assured her that she could do it. Seeing her brother's confidence, Ruby began practicing the dance moves at home. Despite her efforts, Ruby struggled to execute the dance steps and kept falling every time she tried. However, her mother, Ai, was there to dance with her and keep her motivated. Ruby couldn't help but remember her previous life, which was spent mostly in hospital rooms, where her body was disabled and didn't obey her commands. Walking was a challenge, and she would often stumble and fall. At this particular moment, Aqua was filled with joy as she learned to dance with the assistance of her beloved mother, Ai. It was a moment of realization for Aqua as she acknowledged that her twin sister, Ruby, possessed an inherent talent for not only acting but also dancing. As she watched Ruby gracefully move to the rhythm of the music, Aqua couldn't help but admire the striking beauty that she inherited from their mother. As they continued to practice, their mother, Ai, returned from work, and upon hearing the twins' conversation, couldn't help but feel a pang of sadness. She had always known that the day would come when her daughters would question their father's whereabouts. Ai had kept the identity of their father a secret from the twins. Ai, the popular idol, has garnered a huge following on social media with over 1 million fans. As her popularity continues to grow, Saito decided to take the team out to celebrate. It's also worth noting that Ai, who was raised by a single parent, is about to turn 20 in just 1 week. Ai was struggling with the idea of whether or not she could truly love her fans as a popular idol. Her difficult past, which included her mother's arrest for theft and her own time spent in a home, made her question her capacity for love. However, Saito, her mentor and guide, offered her an inspiring perspective. Saito explained that by singing and dancing while looking cute, she would already be expressing love to her fans. Furthermore, as an idol, phrases like, "I love you," would be present throughout her lyrics, even if she initially struggled to believe them herself. By continually saying, "I love all of you," the lie she once told about herself could eventually become the truth. Moved by Saito's words, Ai resolved to become a remarkable idol, driven by her desire to love and be loved in return. She was determined to be an object of affection and admiration for others, and to pour her heart into every performance she gave. As Ai heard a knock on the door, she felt her heart skip a beat with excitement, hoping it was Saito. However, to her surprise, it was one of her fans who had a dark past. This particular person had pushed Sensei off the cliff long ago. Nevertheless, the fan congratulated her on her successful dome concert and inquired about her twins. Everything seemed normal until suddenly, the fan pulled out a knife and stabbed Ai. As she fell to the ground, gasping for breath, Aquamarine arrived and witnessed the horrific scene. The fan turned out to be Ryosuke-kun, someone who had frequently attended Ai's handshake events. In a fit of rage, he accused Ai of being a liar and hiding her kids, all while using her "I love you" songs to lure her fans. Despite the excruciating pain, Ai mustered the strength to speak up and defend herself. She explained that she had kept her children a secret to protect them from the harsh scrutiny of the public eye. Her music was an expression of love, not a deceitful tool to manipulate her fans. As her life hung in the balance, Ai's message was clear: the power of love should never be used as a weapon. She confessed that she had been irresponsible from the start and did not fully understand what it meant to love someone. She admitted to telling pretty lies that she thought would please everyone, hoping that they would eventually become the truth. But deep down, she knew that she had been misguided in her expression of love. With tears streaming down her face, Ryosuke-kun ran out of the room, leaving Ai to fall to the ground. Aqua immediately called for an ambulance, and as she held Aqua in her arms, she apologized for the way things had turned out. Meanwhile, Ruby had been outside the locked door, eager to know what was happening. As she heard the commotion, she knocked frantically, hoping to get some answers. As Ai lay dying, she called out to Ruby, her voice weak and trembling. She affirmed to her that she could one day become idols, just like she had. Her ultimate wish was to see Ruby dancing with her on stage, and Aqua making his mark in the world of acting. But in that moment, Ai's dream was shattered. She knew that she would not be there to see them grow up, to guide them through life's challenges, and to witness their successes and failures. She wondered what kind of adults they would become without her. Tears streamed down her face as she poured out her heart to them. She wanted them to know how much she loved them and how much they meant to her. And then, with a final breath, she passed away. The twins wept bitterly, their hearts heavy with the loss of their mother. As the news of Ai's tragic death spread, the public was left in shock and mourning. The loss of such a beloved idol was a devastating blow, and many struggled to come to terms with the senseless act of violence that had taken her life. For Aqua and Ruby, the news was especially difficult to bear. They were left wondering what to do next, how to carry on in a world without her. But amidst their grief, they also had to contend with the ugly side of fame. As news of the murder spread, there were those who sought to exploit the tragedy for their own gain. Some treated Ai's death as a plaything, spreading unfounded speculations and writing nasty anonymous comments online. As the days passed, the media frenzy surrounding Ai's death slowly died down. People moved on with their lives, and Aqua and Ruby faded from the public eye. They were no longer the center of attention, no longer the focus of intense scrutiny and speculation. It seemed that Saito and his wife Miyako had taken them under their wing, transferring them to their family register and welcoming them into their home. Miyako called them out and asked if they would like to call her Mom. Ruby moved closer and hugged her, tears streaming down. Aqua's memories of his past had resurfaced, and he realized that there must be a mystery surrounding what happened to him years ago. He couldn't shake off the feeling that the person who killed him was the same person who had killed Ai. Aqua suspected that someone from the film industry had information about Ai and had given it to the killer. Aqua was determined to uncover the truth, and identify the person responsible, no matter what it took. Aqua went to meet the director and Ace asked him to raise. Aqua and Ruby had fully grown up. He began his revenge play.